Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to paint this lavender field and we're going to use Brusho, which is a pigment watercolor powder. I'm working in my Cachet watercolor sketchbook. This is by Daler and Rowney. I've had it for a couple of years and it's been sitting on the shelf. I kind of am a sketchbook floozy and I jump around from sketchbook to sketchbook. I do have a dozen pages or so and then I kind of like abandon it sometimes. So I thought this would be kind of fun for an experimental project. I'm using a pink Col.or pencil to do my sketching for the main reason is that was what was within reach when I sat down here to work. I had to readjust my rows of lavender fields, so it's kind of it's almost like a one-point perspective, but the point would be far off to the left off the page. But I really liked that dynamic. A student of mine had sent me this photo, so thank you, Maria, for sending me this. It is from Pixabay. I will link that in the video description. And if you are a member of Critique Club, we have the real-time version of this tutorial up in the school right now, so you can check that out. If you've been curious about taking any of my classes, I have a 50% off coupon code for this month, so it's good for about another week. If you use the coupon code No Fooling, you will get 50% off any class. Just click the Add Coupon button on checkout and enter in the coupon code No Fooling, and that's how you get your discount. Now, this is a pigment powder. They're kind of like fabric dyes. They're a really fine powder, and what I'm doing is sprinkling a bunch of different purples, pinks, and blues onto a scrap of paper, and I folded it up, and I find this is better than just kind of randomly sprinkling over my paper because it just gives me a little more direction. So what I'm going to be doing here is I've wet the lavender field area with a spray bottle. I wanted to get kind of like a random bits of water here. I just wanted to really try to keep it kind of loose, and now I'm using my paper with the pigment powders, and I'm just kind of trying to tap it into these little valleys, like the space between the rows, and then I'm using my brush to kind of help redistribute some of that pigment powder. Now, the neat thing about this is it gives you some little specks of different colors, reds and blues and purples, because those are the colors I used, and I think it's going to give me a cool texture and shadow. I also sprinkled in some kosher salt because I figured that would almost give me like the bursts of like the highlighted flowers at the top of the rows. So I'm thinking this might give me a really interesting dynamic look. Now, while that's drying, I'm working on this far away kind of mountainous hills here, and I'm using a variety of purples, adding in some burnt sienna and cerulean blue there to just kind of tone it down a little bit. And I'm also putting in some yellow ochre and some sap green. Actually, I just used yellow ochre and cerulean blue to see what kind of green I would get before adding any sap green to it. And then I thought, yeah, I want to pump that up a little bit, so I did put in some sap green. I'm using my Gram palette, and I'm actually really glad I grabbed this palette because it was sitting on its edge in my wooden paint box, and I hadn't had it out since I took a class like a year ago, and some of the paint had started to slide out of the wells, and this is a paint that's honey based, so it does tend to want to migrate a little bit, so you don't want to store those palettes on their sides. I don't know what I was thinking having that on its side, but no harm was done. And I was able to scrape that paint back into its wells and use it. I really enjoy my Gram paints. I haven't had them out for a while, mainly because I've been working at a smaller desk, and that palette takes up a lot of space. And I also can't keep it all in frame, so it can be confusing if I'm using a lot of colors on a video. So what I'm doing here is I've mixed the violet and burnt sienna. It makes a real dark color, and I'm painting in some windows and doors on this faraway building. It's kind of like I don't know, it reminds me of like a European chateau out in the hills. I don't know if that's what it is or not, but that's what it reminds me of. And I'm just trying to put in some of the shadows. Now, I'm keeping it real loose. Architecture is not my thing. If you've followed me for any period of time, I don't often do buildings, paintings of buildings or whatnot. But I thought this was nice because you could mix the man-made in with the nature-made type things. Well, obviously, the lavender is cultivated, but you've got landscape, you've got a man-made building, then you've got this human planted but natural thing growing in the front. So I kind of like that combination of different elements. I'm putting in some groupings of trees. I'm trying to build a little depth and get a little bit of interest there in the background because I've been working with a student painting lavender fields and in the Critique Club, and it's can be very difficult to do a painting of lavender fields. There's many subjects that are like that. Succulents is another thing that's like that. They're very pretty to look at. Then when you go to paint them, they seem to lose something in the enormity of like the flowers or of the petals in a succulent, and some things like that. Just kind of you want to attack with different media or different techniques that are very interesting to kind of pull the viewer in and kind of show them the feeling that you're getting being in the space. Like being in a lavender field can be very overwhelming with scent and beauty, but if you're just looking at a photo of it or a picture of it, it might kind of lose that. So using the Brusho, using the salt, it just gives you a little bit of that feeling, and then being able to add some depth and kind of mute out the background. I feel like it supports the lavender but doesn't overtake it. So here what I'm doing is adding in some more shadows, kind of like almost like purple grasses, but it's really the shadows for the between the rows of the lavender. I'm dabbing in some mauve, and do you say mauve or mauve? Mauve, probably mauve. I don't know, I say it both ways. It's not a word you say very often. I'm just kind of dabbing in that to give you the texture of the little flower heads on the like the tips of the rose. And then I took some cerulean blue and mixed it with the mauve to kind of define the rose a little bit. Real light, just kind of tap down in the rose, like kind of like I'm trying to just hit the tops of the rows of the lavender. I hope that makes sense. Just to give it a little bit more structure, because I kind of feel like I lost a lot of it. And now I'm spattering in some of the purple mixes there just to give it a little bit more interest. And I realized that I wanted to break up the light area of the highlight of the lavender and the building, so I'm putting in some shrubs in front of the building, or I guess it could be trees that far away, but I just wanted to kind of have this visual kind of separation there, just to kind of again add a little depth and just break apart those sections of the painting a little bit. And then I thought, you know, that mountain range, the two like kind of hills look a little too similar, so I wanted to do something to give some texture to that that closer mountain range and also break it apart from the further one, so again it will give me a little bit more depth. And it's just little tweaks like that you can make in your painting that can help you add different levels of depth. Now I'm taking my tape off because I want to see how this looks at this point. I didn't know if I needed to add any white to it. I kind of reserved that to the end, and I did decide that I wanted to do something. So one thing I'm doing is taking a white gel pen. This is a Jelly Roll 08. And I like this. It's not quite as bold as my Uniball Signo, so and it's thinner. It just is going to give me a little sliver of highlight on the edges of the building. And then I thought I would define a few of those trees, but I will go over the trees with yellow ochre on the white bits so they're not too bright. Now another thing I wanted to do was I wanted to do like I wanted to give some highlight to the top of the rows of lavender. I got the shadows in really well, but I still feel like it lacks some definition. So I'm using some white gouache, and this is the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and I'm adding some of my mixed purples from my palette into that. So any of those blues or purples I've already used are fair game. And I'm going to use a couple different techniques. I've got this spattering tool here. This gives me a really fine uniform spatter. Honestly, I'm like grabbing scraps of paper out of my trash and testing it on there, so that's why I had that paper there. And I decided I would use that to just give me that texture of the tips of the lavender flowers on top of the rose. So it just gives me a little definition between that and the shadows. And I found the toothbrush actually gave me a better result because the specks were a little bit bigger. The wetter your paint is, the bigger the specks. The drier your paint is, the smaller the specks. But of course, the more water you add, the less opaque they're going to be. So just kind of keep that in mind. And even though that effect is really subtle, I do think it helped the picture. And now I'm taking the yellow ochre and touching on the trees where I put the white gel pen just for a little bit of just to warm it up a little bit, just to give it that kind of glow on the edge. And then I'm taking some of that really, really pale purple and pink that has the white gouache in it to add a few flowers just to break it out from the background. And that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed this painting. It wasn't something that I would typically paint on my own, but I'm glad I had that suggested because it was a lot of fun and it gave me a chance to use my watercolor pigment powders. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Until next time, happy crafting.